that's part of our course catalog. It's being offered. I think they have taken it back. I think that's a mistake, and I'll bet you it'll end up being offered.
That is Governor Ron DeSantis today pushing back on an earlier announcement from the College Board that Florida's Department of Education had effectively banned AP psychology in the state because AP psychology violates Florida's Parental Rights in Education Act. That is also known as the Don't Say Gay law. The College Board, which administers the AP courses, said in a statement yesterday that Florida school districts are free to teach AP psychology only if it excludes any mention of sexual orientation and gender identity. The College Board said it cannot modify the course in response to laws that would censor college-level standards. But the idea of no more AP psychology in the entire state of Florida has stirred up some controversy here. So the Florida Education Commissioner just a few hours ago fired back with a statement insisting that the department believes that AP psychology can be taught in its entirety in a manner that is age and developmentally appropriate. But that sort of leaves a lot of questions there, doesn't it? Specifically, what does the state of Florida think is age and developmentally appropriate? And does that involve any mention of sexual orientation and gender identity? Now, so far, the College Board is focused on the part of the statement that says AP psychology may be taught in its entirety. But what does that actually mean for the teachers who need to begin school in a matter of weeks? Joining me now is Rachel Chapman, a high school teacher in Orlando, Florida, who has been teaching AP psychology for the past 17 years. Ms. Chapman, thank you for being here. I know it is not easy to talk perhaps critically about what's going on in the state of Florida if you are employed in the state of Florida. So I really appreciate you coming on television tonight. Let me just first ask, what is going on in your classroom? How are you preparing for the next year?
It's kind of difficult right now because everything is still up in the air. There's a lot of change, a lot of movement still happening. So there's a still great unknown to what is this year going to be looking like. Our students start next week, and we're still not entirely sure what's going to happen. And this new information coming from the state is kind of muddying the waters a little bit. So it's really difficult for me to prepare in the way that's necessary for my students starting next week.
For people who didn't take AP Psych, I'm one of them. Can you just explain why it's necessary to have content that addresses gender and sexual orientation in an AP Psych class?
Excellent. AP psychology is all about the study of the human mind and behavior. And when we try to understand human behavior, we need to look at it from multiple lenses. And by looking at it through these multiple lenses, we can understand all of humanity. And to take out bits and pieces, we're missing out important aspects about what makes psychology psychology, what makes us us. So it's not like a pick and choose. We can't just decide we're going to look at certain parts of ourselves. We need to look at all of it.
What do you think is, what do you think is behind the state saying, yeah, you can't do that anymore in an AP psychology class in the state of Florida? What does that signal to you?
It's really difficult to really interpret what they mean. We don't know if they're doing that because they don't want discussion at all about gender and sexuality. We don't know if they want a reduced, what do they want? And when we hear that message from them, not to include it, it really makes me wonder, do we want all discussion about these individuals out of the classroom entirely?
To the outside world, this reminds me of the Stop Woke Act, which really chilled any discussion of race, racism, institutional racism, slavery. Basic sort of questions about how you teach history in the state of Florida are kind of up for grabs because of the vagueness of the law and the sort of haphazard way with which it's enforced. And I wonder if the same might be happening in the field of psychology or the teaching of AP psychology in classes, that it remains purposefully vague to have effectively a chilling effect on teachers and lesson plans. Are you worried about your ability to teach going forward?
I do have concerns. Teachers love clarification. Teachers thrive on information. And we need that clarification to make sure that we are not ourselves going to be getting into trouble. Walking on eggshells in a classroom is never helpful for students. It's not going to help them understand what we're trying to talk about. So clarification is so important. The vagueness of what's happening right now is really putting us in a situation where we cannot prepare and we can't teach effectively.
I mean, this is obviously not the only AP course that's come under fire in terms of, or intersected with Governor DeSantis's agenda. The same is true notoriously for the AP African American Studies class. I mean, I kind of wonder if you start targeting these advanced placement courses and the students who take them, what does that say about the level of education in Florida? I mean, what does that do to parents who are looking to get a great education for their kids in Florida public schools? Does it make them want to take their kids out? I mean, what are you hearing from parents whose children are victims of the sort of culture war agenda here?
It's complicated because there are many parents who are concerned. Are their students going to be competitive when it comes to college? Are they going to be competitive when it comes to career readiness? But at the same time, I really want to let people know that Florida teachers are hard workers.
Yeah.
We're really good at what we do, and we are going to do what we can to do what is best for the students to make sure they're getting the highest quality education that we are able to give them.
That is such an important caveat, and I have been down to Florida a lot. The people who are dedicated to teaching in that state are American heroes. And, you know, my hat's off to you for bearing through this. Rachel Chapman, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck down there. We will be following what is going on down there.
Thank you very much.